So I'm making this video because I do get quite a bit of questions when I go to shows about my battery bank, and a lot of people seem concerned about it and how it's set up. But I just want to clear up some confusion, let people know how I've been running it and how it's been ran before I even got the truck. So like I said before, this is a proto bank of lithium, very, very similar to C-Max that you're all pretty familiar with, I'm sure. One of the questions I get a lot is, oh, you don't run a balancer? Like, how are you not running a balancer? That seems kind of dangerous. Well, I'll tell you, I don't run a balancer all the time. I typically will go to a show, play my heart out at the show, come home, I'll take my multimeter and I'll go through and I'll check all the cells all the way across, all the way up and down, whatever. And they're almost exact, like every single show I've ever went to, no matter if I've let my battery bank get down to 14.6, which that's only happened maybe, I don't even know if it's happened once. I think the lowest I've ever seen it resting at after a show was 14.8, and that was from demoing all day hard. Ordinarily, the lowest I let it get to is like 15.1, 15.2. But what I do is I'll come home. I have a actual two sets of balancers. It's the HA02 style. And I just have alligator clips ran. It looks like a freaking bomb right now the way I have it set up. But I'll come home, even if I check the balances and they're all like good to go or whatever, I'll still throw them on the alligator clips real quick. And then depending on how low the batteries are sitting, depends on which charger I use. But if I'm sitting in like the 14, 15 range, I'll just throw this Brand X charger on there. I have it set at 15.5 right now, my little cheap ass voltmeter down there. My battery is sitting at 15.3, and I'll just bring it up to around 15.5, 15.6. And then once it's all good and well, I'll snatch the balancers off, verify that everything's balanced with a multimeter, and then unplug everything, call it good. I only ever charge this battery bank, shoot, I'd say every couple months. It doesn't really need it. For the amount of driving I do with this truck after the show, by the time I get home, it typically is sitting at 15.6, 15.7 just from the drive home. It doesn't take very long with those three 290 Singer alternators. But this is just like a little overview of what I do. Is this necessary to do this? No, absolutely not. I could just go out and drive it and get those couple of tenths of a volt that I'm looking for. But I don't have anything else going on today. I'm out here in the garage having a beer, just working on the base build and working on the Civic I got, and I figure I'd make a quick little overview of what I'm doing. At some point I may end up hooking these balancers up to where they run all the time non-stop, but for me, I don't drive this truck every day. In fact, I might drive it once every other week, if that. So I don't like to have things with a draw, even if it's a small draw. With this large of a bank, I'd rather not have a draw whatsoever at all if I can help it. So this alligator clip method works well. My buddy Jeremy King is the one that suggested I do this, and it's everything that, when it comes to the battery itself, that he's told me to do that I've done has worked. So it works for me. It might work for you. I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, I don't want to tell you what to do with your stuff. Do what makes you comfortable. When it comes to these types of batteries, you see videos and photos of people, not necessarily with Protos or C-Max, but there are people out there that are having issues with their batteries catching fire and all kinds of other mess. So I am, to me, pretty careful with this. Now, another question I get a lot is, well, you don't have any type of compression like angle iron or anything like that. No metal compression. All I have is wood. And yeah, you're right, I don't. And this wood seems to be holding just fine. I don't believe, and I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, please correct me. I could be wrong, though. I believe the proto cells don't necessarily have the same concern as far as like swelling and expanding and slinking outwards like I've seen some of the C-Max. Like I said, I could be wrong, so if I am, please correct me. But I've been running these batteries like this for actually a year now, and they were ran for a while before that too. And so far, there's been no issues. Now, I will tell you, I've had one instance where I let this battery bank lose its power, lose its voltage. I left my external regulator on overnight on accident after I installed a new one, and things were not completely installed correctly. I thought the fuse I had it hooked to was a ignition fuse because it was turning my voltmeter on and off every time I would turn the car on and off, but apparently there was still a little bit of power there, and it left my voltmeter on, or voltage regulator, sorry. So I came outside after like 2 or 3 days and got in the truck and turned my voltmeter on just to see where I'm sitting at, and I was sitting at 3.8 or 4 volts. Now that's total for the whole bank. I was showing like 4 volt. Of course, I was in a panic. Was worried, concerned, like, oh shit, what's going to happen? So what I did was I checked all the cells all the way across to see if they were still, like, you know, relatively in balance. And believe it or not, even at 4 volts for the entire bank, all the cells were still showing exactly the same voltage all the way across the board. But what I did do, though, is I went and I bought a very slow, I believe it's a 8 amp charger, and I ran it on that 8 amp charger for, like, no shit, 3-4 days. Like, it took forever to charge this bank from 4 volts up to, I think I got it to 13 volts with that slow charger. It was around 13 volts. And the whole time I had the balancer hooked up to it, keeping the cells balanced and everything. And then once I got it to around 13 volts, I believe I threw this actual quicker charger on there and let this one charge it a bit faster to get it up to the desired 15.5. And yeah, ever since it's been fine. I've never let it die since then. I try to pay as close of attention to it as I can. That noise you just heard was the actual charger. The fan's cutting off. They come on and off ever so often. But yeah, there's no issues with it. I would recommend Proto and C-Max to anyone that's, you know, knowledgeable at least to an extent of what the hell they're doing, and knows what you're getting yourself into, what the risks are, what the benefits are. As long as you pay attention to it, you shouldn't have too much to worry about. I've seen some scary shit. I've seen people with C-Max demoing, and I've looked at their voltmeter and seen that they're running that shit at like 12.5, like running the shit into the dirt. That is not the idea behind C-Max. I'm no expert on this shit, but I know enough to know AGM can see 11 volts, and you're not going to have to worry about some serious damage to your vehicle necessarily. LTO can see a little bit lower than what it, you know, it's going to have to see higher than AGM, but it can trickle down into the high 12s, 13s, whatever. C-Max, you don't want to necessarily be seeing no 12 volts. That is not good. I think the lowest I've ever had mine charging was 14.8 on my daily driver in my Altima. But as soon as I was able to, I threw a diode on the alt and got it charging at 15.3, 15.4. And I'll tell you, it performed a lot better and held voltage a lot stronger when I was running it at 15.4. Same with my Proto. My Proto cells seem to love it when I have them sitting at around 15.6, 15.8. I'm sure 16 volts would be even better. But because I'm running salt amps, I like to stick around 15.5. I've heard other people say, hey, you can get those salt 8s to charge at 15.8. You shouldn't have nothing to worry about. And I might do that in the future. We might do some stuff with them. But right now, I like running them around 15.5, 15.4. Especially since I'm strapped at 0.47 per amp. It's already kind of riding the lightning a little bit. So I don't want to get too crazy too fast. But it's looking like I definitely will try to run them a little bit higher than 15.4 in the future. The Salt 12 probably wouldn't recommend doing that. They seem to be a little more touchy when it comes to the higher voltage. And yes, I know it's sundown audio, low voltage technology. I get it. But also get that when I clamp almost 40,000 watts exactly out of a pair of Salt 8 strapped, charging at 15.5, I guarantee you if I was charging at 14.6, 14.8, I would not clamp the same. And I'm trying to clamp some serious power. So I'm going to take some risk, and I know there's a danger to taking risk, but there's also a good ass reward too, so I'm willing to take those risks. I appreciate you guys tuning in to my rambling. Again, I don't know everything, guys. I could very well be wrong about a lot of the shit I said, so if I am, correct me. I'm open to criticism. I'm not going to be one to shy away from being criticized, especially if the person that's doing the criticizing knows what the fuck they're talking about. I'm trying to learn just like everyone else, so please correct me if I'm wrong on something, and I'll make sure in the next videos I touch back on that and clear up any confusion. Appreciate you guys tuning in.